You are listening to the Hiking Radio Network, where we talk the walk with shows by hikers about hikers for everybody.
This is the Hammock Hangers Podcast, where we hang out and talk about everything from hammocks and hammock camping to the group hangs from around the country. Hey everyone, welcome to the Hammock Hangers Podcast, where we unwind, relax, and delve into all things hammock related. Join us as we swing into the world of hammocks, exploring tips and tricks for setting up that perfect hang, sharing stories of outdoor adventures, and discovering the latest trends in hammock camping and relaxation. Whether you're a seasoned hammocker or new to the art of hanging, this podcast is your cozy corner to kick back, escape the hustle and bustle of everyday life, and soak in the soothing atmosphere of the hammock culture. Prepare to be inspired, educated, and entertained as we embrace the hammock lifestyle together. So grab your favorite hammock, find that perfect spot to hang, and let's embark on a hammock-filled journey that will leave you feeling refreshed, rejuvenated, and ready to take on the world. This is the Hammock Hangers Podcast, where every episode is a breath of fresh air. Let's get started.
Howdy, hangers. Welcome to this week's episode of the Hammock Hangers Podcast. This is Pheonix, and unfortunately, Skunkape or Paul is kind of on another little work sabbatical. They finally made him go back to work, so he is working about 4 hours away from his house. And he is not able to join us for a few episodes at least. He'll definitely be back on when we do our episodes from Denmark. But this week, we have a very special guest with me, probably more so than usual. She is a very different guest than we've had in past episodes. We have Haley Ladner from, Oak Ridge?
Oak Grove Elementary.
Oak Grove Elementary School. It's a small, how big of a school are we looking at?
We have about 750 kids, and it's pre-K through 5th.
Okay. So in Mississippi, correct?
Yes.
All right. Awesome. Well, your school is about the same size as ours. I want to say ours is around 600, 650 around. And Ms. Ladner, you are the librarian at your school, and why are you on a Hammock Hangers podcast? So you started a project at your school called the Hammock Garden.
Yes.
And there was some roundabout way it got on the internet, and just like how I found my wife, I also found your thing on the internet on Facebook, and it was shared to me, and I immediately fell in love with the initiative. So let's talk a little about you first, and then we'll get into your project. So tell us about yourself and what do you do?
So I am the librarian at Oak Grove Elementary. I've been in the library for 7 years now, 6 or 7. And then before then, I taught kindergarten for 4 years and first grade for 1. So I've been in education for a long time now. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I've been at the same school the whole time. Love being the librarian. It's amazing. Love just helping kids find, books and help them enjoy reading in any way, in all different ways that looks, online and physical books, ebooks, all the things. So
I know our librarian in our school kind of plays double duty as kind of the tech person at our school as well. Is that something that you just get to be the librarian?
Goodness, not me. Yes.
That's
yes,
awesome.
I am. And I'm like in the specials rotation. So like I see kids, we're on the 6-day rotation. So I see all the classes every 6 days. So
okay. And as a promise to Skunkape that I would not drift this into a teacher podcast, I will forego a lot of my teacher questions that I love to talk about. And hopefully we won't be throwing too much lingo out at people that they have no idea what we're talking about. In education, we have a lot of special terms. There's a lot of acronyms that we won't get into. But basically a specials rotation is kind of like your PE, your art,
Yes.
things of that nature. And you guys said you got on a 6 rotation. So what are the other specials that you guys offer in your rotation?
So we have 2 PEs, we have an art, a music, and a STEAM, and then me. So.
Okay, awesome. Good deal. So you have been at your school for your entire career.
Yes.
Is this the school that you grew up with? Did you go there as a student?
I actually did, or at least through 3rd grade. The school's been through a lot of different, I don't know how to say it. Like it was like kindergarten through 5th, and then it was kindergarten through 3rd, and then it was just kindergarten and 1st, and now we're back to kindergarten or pre-K through 5th. So when I was there, it was kindergarten through 3rd. So I went kindergarten through 3rd there, and then I was actually homeschooled the rest of my education career. So.
Okay, awesome. So it's great to kind of get back into the school that kind of where your roots were in. I know my wife, she graduated from the high school and went to the same middle school that my daughter and my son go to now. She did go to a different school for elementary, but that's kind of cool. So do you have any like outdoor experience, or like do you like camping or along those hiking, backpacking?
Not so much with backpacking or hiking. I dabble. We definitely, like in Mississippi, there's not a ton. I mean, people can be outdoorsy, but not as much of like, hardcore hiking and camping and stuff, but definitely into the outdoors. Just some casual camping. The hammock thing kind of just came from literally just having a hammock in my yard just for a long time. Just kind of like to be outside, not so much with the outdoorsy, going on long hikes, that kind of thing, just enjoying the outdoors in a more laid back kind of setting.
Awesome. So what kind of inspired you to kind of get this Hammock Garden project, kind of get the ball rolling on it?
So I actually saw it on the internet first, and I saw someone else. I don't even know. No one was tagged in it. It was actually on Pinterest, I believe. I didn't see any like sort of school name affiliated with it. It was just a photo. And from the photo, I was like, this is amazing. This would be wonderful. I feel like getting harder and harder to engage kids in reading. I mean, there's going to be kids that just love to read, but then there's a lot of kids who maybe aren't, don't do it as much, don't love it, it's not their thing, but can be really engaged if they're outdoors. And kids are stuck in a classroom all day long. So I was like, let's try to get this going. We'll try to see if we can figure out how to make this work. So just from the picture, I just kind of tried to figure out how we can make it work where we are. Our campus is really cool because it's mostly outdoor. Like we only have like 2 interior hallways. Most of our doors open to the exterior. So it's really great. They're outdoors a lot anyway, just walking, back and forth. So we have plenty of space for it. So once I saw the picture and tried to figure out how I can make it work, we just kind of went from there.
Okay, awesome. So I think kind of the biggest hurdle that for me as an educator thinking, how the heck did you get approved for this? Like, did you start at the school or the district? What was that process like for you?
Just the school level. I never had to take it to district. It was actually pretty easy. I have a wonderful principal who I pretty much just took it to her and I was like, this is something I would love to do. Is this okay with you? What are your thoughts on it? She was immediately on board with it and was totally cool with it. I kind of gave her a couple different areas of the school that I was thinking of. And she we decided on one that was right outside of the library, which was great for me. And then from that point, I took it to our PTO and presented it to them at one of their meetings, and everyone was immediately on board. And they were cool with funding it, which was amazing looking back, because at the time I literally just had the idea. I didn't have anything. Like I had priced out like the hammocks and like the post, and that was it. There was plenty of other like parts that I didn't even think about so like the price ended up being a lot more than I anticipated at first, and they just rolled with it. And between the PTO and like our PTO president, her family also donated some directly to the project. So that was just wonderful. I had pretty much 100% support from the get-go, which was amazing.
Awesome. So when you're looking at size, how many hammocks do you have set up in this garden?
So I have 24 at the moment. It can handle more than that, but that's about the limit, because at the moment that's really the most kids we have in a class anyway. So that's pretty much what I based it on. I don't even know that I have a class that has 24. I think it's 22, something like that. But the way I have it set up, there are hammocks on the outside, and so it's kind of like a square. And then there's some that can go diagonally. So I could put more. I just don't typically have to. So.
Gotcha. So, so did you have to do any other like research to like, hey, how far apart are these going to go? Kind of like, what was your design process of how you wanted it to look?
It was a lot of trial and error because I just had this one small picture. Like it wasn't even a normal size photograph, and it just showed. So the picture that I had to kind of work from looked like there was like a post in the middle and then like a circle of post around it. So that's what I was going for. And I literally just went out to the space and had a tape measure and just tried to kind of work it out. And I bought one of the hammocks to see how long it was and those kind of things. And I thought I had something worked out and figured out. I'd measured it all. And then the people we had to come and actually like install the post, once I showed him, he was like, yeah, this is cool, we can do this. But then once it got down to him actually like digging the holes and doing all the things, he was like, I don't think the circle configuration is going to work. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I don't know what else to do. And he was like, I can do it, it's just going to be like square. So it worked out to be basically the same, to where I have like a post in the center, and then I think I can't remember, a few around the edges to kind of make a square around the center post. And then I have another one of those on the other side. So it's all like one big long area. So like I said, the hammocks can go around the outside and in the middle. So yeah, just a lot of trial and error, a lot of trying to figure out how we were going to do things, because like the hammocks that we have, typically you hang them with like a hammock strap. And I was like, I don't know how that's going to work, because it's elementary kids. I didn't want to leave them up all the time. So we like put them up and take them down in between usage. And so I was worried about how that was going to work with the hammock straps, just because, they're not, they're children. So what we ended up doing was using like eye screws. And so they just like bolt and they just hook into those, which has worked well. But
yeah, I would say like, especially like for kids, getting kids into hammock camping, the straps actually do work pretty well. But as far as like a permanent fixture, like you're going, yeah, like eye hooks, carabiner, clip right in, and you're good to go. And especially if you're moving and grooving between classes and things, yeah, I can imagine that being a lot faster.
For sure.
So how did the kids kind of react to this? Kind of like your first hang, your first group of kids. What was their reaction to this?
Oh, they love it. They love it. And it's really cool to see that some kids have been in a hammock before and are comfortable and like know what to do. And we're showing other kids how to navigate it. And then you could tell others had never experienced it at all. And they were like, I don't know what to do. And, obviously I showed them how to hang it and how to sit and all the things beforehand. But still, once it got down to it, I think that some were definitely nervous. And they're not hanging very high from the ground. But so that was interesting to see. But then once they're all in it, it was amazing to me how immediately like calm they were, because you're in education, children can be
crazy. They be crazy.
Yeah. And especially being outside, that normally brings out the wildness in them. But truly, like once they got them set up and like, a few minutes of giggling and swinging and all the things, they really just settled down and hung out and read. There's definitely a few that fell asleep, but
Yeah, that was my next question. Like how many, kind of time travelers did you have?
Yeah, not too many, because we're not out there for very long periods at a time. Probably each time I go out, we're probably only out there for about 20, 25 minutes, which is a good chunk of time for them to get to, relax and read and stuff, but not so long that they all fall asleep. So that's good.
So, and I know you've used this for like the library and stuff, but have you used this or other people at your school have used this for like behavior management or?
Not yet. That might be something that's happened. Probably the closest thing like that has happened is right across from where our Hammock Garden, we've named it the Hammock Haven. Right next to that is one of our self-contained sped preschools. Mm-hmm. And so there was one time, or there have been a few times maybe that they've taken out their students out to just like calm down and relax and stuff. In fact, to the point that I just gave them one of the hammocks, because right now I keep them all in the library and people can like check them out and take their classes out or whatever. But I just gave one to that teacher because they have a really small class size. I think they don't have more than 10 kids at a time. And so anyway, I gave them one so that if a kid needed, to calm down or just have that sensory input, that they could use it. And they said it's gone really well, and it's been helpful for those kids. So.
Yeah, I've always been curious, like for me, and I've talked about this on the podcast before, kind of how I got into hammock camping was really, it wasn't a hammock camping thing at all. I really was hooked on it because of the mental health aspect of, again, being outside, that rocking kind of womb motion going back and forth was really beneficial to me as an adult. And again, I've got two neurospicy kids. So, when we go out, they're hanging in their hammocks, or when we go camping. And again, that rocking motion is a good way for those kids to reset. And not just for like the engagement with the books, but again, that behavior reset, that kind of that calming sensation that goes with hammocks. I've always been curious to see. In my head, I was like, this has to work. Like this has to be a good thing. But to see it done in practice, which you've done at your school, that's really cool. Have any maybe teachers taken advantage of the hammocks?
Some. I have like a calendar so they can sign up and just borrow the hammocks from me. So right now, the way I have them stored is I just have them in a like one of those collapsible wagons. They're just all in there. Since I don't have much time in between classes, I don't have them put them all back in like the little bag or whatever. They just throw them all in the wagon. And so I've had a few teachers come and get them and take their kids out. The coolest thing that one of the teachers actually a couple have used it for, is they have like buddies. So like there's like a 4th grade class that's been partnered up with like a 1st grade class, and their buddies they get together and like we'll read or do different projects or whatever. And so a few times there have been the buddy classes have gone out and they've used them to like just sit side by side and like read together. So that's been cool to see them connecting grade levels as well. But that's pretty much it. I've had a few classes do it for that, and then some others just go and read. Some have gone in just to hang out and kind of reset, like you were talking about earlier. So it's been cool.
Awesome. So have you had any challenges with this, or maybe some part of the program that have come up that you had no idea would be a challenge in the beginning?
I wouldn't say challenge. There definitely is. I would love to add some shade because where we live, we only have, a few days out of the year that are actually really nice weather. And so where they are right now, half of them are under a tree, so they get shade, and the other half are not. So when we first go out there, the kids are immediately, having a great time and fun, and it's good. But then after a while, they're like, oh, it's hot, or, those kind of things. So, or the half of the kids are. So I would love to add some shade to the area somehow, maybe some sails or something over the top, especially with them wanting to like read, obviously, at the same time. Sometimes the sun can get kind of bright and those type things, but I wouldn't say there are any problems. Just that would be something I would like to do to like improve the space.
Awesome. Yeah, I can definitely see some sails coming through there with some really nice. Yeah, that's kind of the hurdle that I was thinking about for our school. Some of the areas that we would set something like this up, there ain't no trees. And it gets hot in Florida. That sun is oppressive, which, I mean, not too much different in Mississippi. You kind of get the same kind of Gulf kind of swamp, but
all the humidity, yes.
As well. Yeah. So did you have any maybe like pushback from any like faculty or parents? I know there's always this, 1 or 2 teachers at a school that are like, that'll never work. How was the reception from the parents of the students and other faculty members?
No, surprisingly, I've only had good responses. Like I've not had a single person. Yeah. Earlier you were talking about the Facebook post that first showed you this project, there's definitely some people on there who are commenting and were, not so nice, saying, kids are going to fall out or they're going to break their bones or all these things.
You gotta love the internet.
Yes, which it's a concern, I guess, but I'm like, they're not very far from the ground. But no, at my school, it's just been 100% support. Parents love it. The teachers love it. In fact, the teachers, every time they see me out there with them, are like, oh, I want to come out here. We need to have our faculty meetings out here and those kind of things. So
yes, you do. I completely concur.
I know. I'm like, it'd be so nice. Or even just like on our professional development days, just go and rest, relax, reset kind of thing. So
that would be a PD that I would totally go to. But I wouldn't, take random bathroom break that lasts.
Yeah.
Not that I do that in any way, shape, or form. No. I go to all my professional developments that are always so well-meaning and relevant to what I'm teaching. Anyway, that's another soapbox for a different time. But so I guess the thing. So I was reading through some of the lovely comments that were on that initial Facebook post, which kind of blew up. It has over 3,500 shares. There's 1,500 comments. Did you know that this was going to blow up the way that it did?
No, I didn't even know it was going to be posted online at all. I initially just sent those photos to our PTO president, Megan, who had, kind of helped me spearhead this and figure out like what we're going to do. And she was kind of my point person for it all. She found the contractor to come do the work and those kind of things. So I just sent her the photos of the first time I took a class out. I was like, look at how amazing it is. The kids love it. Everything's great. And so she posted it, I guess, to the PTO Facebook page, and it just blew up. It was crazy. I'd never imagined it would, especially since I found the picture, like my inspiration picture from the internet. I'm like, why did that one blow up? So it's just weird how the internet works. Because I think that photo that I based mine off of was from a few years ago. So it's not like it's a new idea. It just happened that mine, I guess, came across the right people at the right time. And it's crazy how much it blew up.
Yeah, that's really awesome. And I think overwhelmingly you have a lot of support, not only from your faculty, but a lot of the comments were saying, hey, this is a really great idea. And there's not a lot of things that people are gung-ho about in education, or really supportive about. So to say that the overwhelming response was, hey, this is a really great idea. I wish my school had something like this, or I wish my student had access to something like this.
Mm-hmm. In fact,
I tutor a few days of the week, and even some of the librarians at our public library, which is right across the street from my school, said, "Hey, this would be awesome."
Mm-hmm.
Now, I guess the biggest negative Nancy comment that you get on the internet is like, kids are gonna die, they're gonna fall out and break a bone. So how many times has the ambulance been called to your school in the last year?
Zero. None, not even once. I didn't even have to call the nurse, not even a single time.
Oh my goodness.
There have been times where children have fallen out, but it is not very high from the ground. And they were not following the rules. So
Shocker.
If they will listen and follow the rules, then we're good. And honestly, like maybe 3 times has that happened. And it's a foot from the ground. They're okay. They were fine. They got right back in and we're cool. So no injuries, no lice spreading. That was another concern.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no issues so far. But it was cool, like you said, to see how the majority of people were just so on board with it. In fact, I've had quite a few people reach out from all over the country, wanting to know like what my process was, what I did, how I got it going. I've had people from schools. I've had a few Eagle Scouts reach out and say they want to do that for their project. So it's been really cool to be able to share that information and know that these type hammock gardens are popping up all over the place now. So it's cool.
You became a Facebook celebrity.
I know, didn't even mean to, but
just a librarian at an elementary school in Mississippi, and
yeah, and here we are. I don't even really use social media myself, so like people were sending it to me. I'm like, I locked myself out of my Facebook a long time ago. I can never get back in, so like I had to make another account to see all this stuff, and so it's kind of crazy.
So have you seen this? I know you've talked about different classes using it for different things, but have you maybe seen other teachers maybe embracing this a lot more because this is the first year that you guys have done it, this particular school year?
Last year is when we first started. It was like probably this time of year last year that we actually got it up and going. The project took a little while. Like I said, I got lots of support, but it did take a while to actually get things in place and in motion. So probably this time last year, I think, is around the time when we actually started. So we were only able to use it for a few months, and then this year, we've been able to use it the whole year so far. So
awesome. So how long did it go from this idea, hey, I want to do this, between that and the first kid laying in a hammock?
Probably 6 or 7 months. It could have been shorter, but it also wasn't, insanely long. It's not like I had to wait for years or anything like that. Just from the logistics of it, like figuring out exactly how I wanted to make it work, and who I needed to ask about this, that, and the other, get someone to come and do the work. Just those things just kind of took a while. Our weather was weird for a while there, and just couldn't do it because of rain and things like that. And then having to call to see where I could dig and have people come out and mark all the water lines and the internet lines and all those kind of things just kind of took a little bit longer than I was anticipating. But yeah, probably about 6 months, maybe.
And I know you said a project like this is not free. What was kind of like your budget, or what was the kind of bottom line as far as the cost of the project being?
So again, our PTO was just really helpful and amazing, because they were kind of just like, you go do it kind of thing. So at the first meeting, like I said, I kind of went in not knowing anything. So I had very little to give them. So at that point, I told them how much the hammocks were going to cost. I think I'd looked up the post and maybe like hooks or something. I had not looked at that many things. So I gave them that price. And I think their policies are that they could vote, like in that meeting, on anything that's like $400. So they were like, sure, this is going to be maybe $400. You can do this. I think it ended up being closer to like $800. So I'm not sure exactly at the end of the day how much the PTO paid for versus how much Megan and her family donated, because I don't know exactly how that happened, but it ended up being around $800 something with materials and labor and stuff. So.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think in the grand scheme of things, the cost benefit ratio for, some of the other things that we pay for in education, $800 for a permanent space that you can get kids that, which I agree, getting kids engaged in reading is really a struggle for a lot of different reasons. I'm not too sure of the makeup of your school, but I teach at a Title I school.
Ours is too.
And reading and education is not necessarily the top of the totem pole for a lot of these families that, food on the table, maybe it's a little bit higher. And getting those kids to engage in that time where they can sit down with a book that's, not on a screen or anything along those lines. It's difficult. And I don't even teach reading anymore. But seeing kids and understanding that the outside distractions is kind of difficult. And even kind of one thing that is kind of becoming more and more popular with my own kids, as well as some former students, is ebooks. And even if you had like a reading, what's the word I'm looking for? A reading series where you had maybe a Bluetooth speaker playing an audiobook for a book that a kid has in its hand. It's amazing how little tweaks like that can really be a game changer for something that seems so simple.
For sure. In fact, so most of the time I take first grade, or really second through fifth, or like the majority of the grades I take out there, just because the little ones, with me being by myself, it's kind of hard to get them in and out and all the things. So typically if kindergarten or first want to use them, the teachers take them, because in our school anyway, kindergarten and first have a teacher and a teacher assistant. So they have just more, more hands and more time to be able to set them up and take them down and get them in it safely and all of the things. But the few times I have taken first grade, I've actually done my read aloud instead of doing it in the library. I'll just read aloud to them in the hammock and then give them some time, because, at that age, they can't really, or a lot don't have the reading stamina to be able to read independently for that long. So it's been cool too to see how they can just lay and relax. And I just kind of stood in the middle and read the book aloud, and they were able to just listen and hang out. And so that was fun to just see how I could use it for the different ages and everything as well.
So what are kind of the expectations that you set for your students to help them get the most out of the Hammock Garden?
Pretty much. Of course, I first show them like how to put the hammock up and how to sit in it safely. And I don't have many rules other than not swinging too much, like, because they all want to. They either immediately lay down and are cool and just staying there, or they sit up and want to just use it as a swing, which is also fun, but can get distracting. So I just do kind of have to monitor, make sure they don't go a little too crazy with that. But that's pretty much it. They just put them up, and I let them, talk for a minute until they're all like settled. Once everyone's set up, I ask them to, not talk and just focus on reading. And it's been really cool to see how immediately they do that, because it's hard for kids not to talk. Even if they're doing something they want to do, they're going to talk. So it's been interesting to see that even kids who in a classroom or in different types of settings maybe would be talking or blurting out or playing or all the different things, have really been focused on reading, or even just relaxing if reading is not their thing, or just looking at the illustrations in their book or things like that. In fact, I really have only maybe twice had to make a kid like get out, and there's a picnic table that's close to that area. So there've been I think maybe only 2 times that there was a child who just wasn't following directions, wasn't following the rules. And so I had to make them go and sit and read at the picnic table instead of the hammock. And then subsequent times I've taken them, I haven't had issues from that kid or anyone else. So it's been interesting to see that they have followed directions and have wanted to do it so much that they do it. And I think they're enjoying it so much that they don't even necessarily want to talk. So that's been fun.
I can almost imagine like being in a hammock, you're kind of closed off in your own pod, kind of like the old school test barriers that you used to put up, like, no, go in your cage. But this is a comfortable pod that you're just kind of rocking back and forth and having that engagement. I mean, I can think of, even taking something as monotonous as like a test review for math. I just teach math and science, and taking my math kids out there or my science kids out there, like, all right, well, as an alternative seating arrangement, go to a hammock and do your work there. Again, those little tweaks, kind of just that change in environment, that change in scenario. That little tweak can, make big returns.
It can. And it's cool because with the hammocks, they can just like lay and read. But like you were saying, you could definitely take like clipboards or whatever out there, and they can sit up, and the hammocks are low enough that like their feet are on the ground. So they could just sit and like gently rock or whatever. And like you said, just be in a different environment, get some fresh air, all that kind of stuff. And it's cool the difference it makes.
How the hammocks themselves and the post and the wear and tear over the year, how are all the materials holding up?
They've held up really well so far. I've actually been a little shocked because the hammocks themselves, the ones we got, were like $11 each. They were very inexpensive. And so far I've had no issues with any of them. So they've been really, really good.
Awesome. So do you have a lot of kids just immediately go, hey, when are we going to the hammocks? Yes,
there are some that want to use them more than we get to. I'm really excited that the weather's been really nice lately, and so I'm hoping we can use them more, because that's the only downside, is that weather definitely, kind of contributes to that. Or even if there's like nice days, if we have other things planned, we can't use them and things like that. So, but definitely with the weather like this, I plan on being out there a lot. And I think the kids will be really excited about it.
Well, with the success that you've had throughout this school year, what are your plans for, looking forward to next school year? Again, continuing to use them how you are now, but what are maybe some other ideas that you're looking to as far as expanding use or expanding the facility that you have?
As I said earlier, I would love to get some sales or something just to add some shade. I think that would help lengthen the times we could use them, because really right now, mostly fall and spring are really the times that we're out there. So if we could get some sales though, I think summer, because we start school really early. We start school actually in the end of July. So the beginning of school and the end of school are both just so hot that I think if we got some sales or even some fans or something like that, it might make it a little bit more comfortable. Maybe we could use them more year round. So that's one thing I would like to add maybe. And then I would love to see more teachers use them. And I know that's tricky just because, y'all have so many things. I know I've been out of the classroom game for a while now, but y'all just have so many things you have to do and so much to cram into your already really busy day. So I want to be able to show the teachers how they could use them, like you were saying, to do the things they're already doing, just in a different space. So I think maybe, just communicating that more and making it maybe even more available to them. Maybe me having set them up ahead of time, because right now I have it to where they set them up, which doesn't take long. The kids do it, but maybe just have them already set up certain weeks of the year or something, and just kind of maybe encourage teachers to use them more for different review things like you were saying, or just, maybe think outside of the box a little bit more to see how we could use them next year.
Get these kids out of their butts and out of a classroom and walking around and just being outside.
Breathing some fresh air. Yeah.
100%. I will say, coming from a hammock camping perspective, I will hammock camp in September in Florida. And that's the one good thing about hammocks is that the convection of the air above and below you keeps things relatively cool, even when it is pretty darn hot. Because we start school. Teachers go back usually August 1st, and kids usually start the next week. So we're right there as far as starting school.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking a lot of our school, when we do our PBIS, positive, our behavior parties, whatever. We do that. Yeah. All the events that we have for that are really loud. We have dance parties, we have, this, that, and the other. And me going to those as a person that just the noise is just it is a special slice of purgatory. When you go to something like that. And I know a lot of kids that have just said, hey, I would just love to just stay in and draw. Or I would just love to just kind of chill out and have some mindfulness training, doing breathing exercises to de-escalating, kind of getting out of our head. And I can't think of any better place to do that than just, being outside in a hammock, just rocking back and forth. I can just see that being so beneficial in every aspect of a student's life, as well as the teachers, because you're right. We have a lot of things going on, and I would love to be able to set up a hammock just in my classroom. Do you think would you encourage other schools to kind of do what you've done at your school, and why?
Oh, for sure. For sure. Like I said, I've really only seen success from it. We've really only had good things come of it. And I really think we could do even more with it. So I definitely think if you have the space, if you have the materials, all the things, I think it's worth looking into. And in talking to you about it, I think you're right. It could definitely be used for behavior things, and not just for for positive behavior, for anything, just to help kids kind of get recentered, calm down, all those kind of things, or as a reward for good behavior, or all the things. So I think it would be beneficial to any school, really. Or like you were saying earlier, even public libraries, they could do the same thing.
and you haven't had any kids die, or no broken legs,
not even
no
scrapes.
lice or scabies, or plague infestations with the
None of
hammocks
the
or anything.
things. Well, and the hammocks are made of the, I don't know, I'm sure you could tell me what type of material they're made of. I don't know, parachutish type material. And so it's, first of all, when they're in the sun, that's pretty good for, germs and things. And then it's really, really easy to just Lysol them, periodically to help keep things clean and fresh and all the things.
So is that what you do to kind of maintain kind of the cleanliness of the hammocks?
Yeah.
Lysol them down?
That's pretty much, maybe there's better ways. Maybe I'll try to figure that out as we go, because I'm still, figuring all this out. But at the moment, that's kind of all I've figured, is just to kind of spray them with some Lysol. So if you have any other tips or tricks to keep them clean, let me know.
The nylon taffeta that those hammocks are made out of is really forgiving as far as throwing them in the washer.
Okay.
Throw them in there, wash them. I usually, if for a hammock, I'll usually, and especially the cheap ones, you don't even have to take the suspension out. I usually get the kind of mesh laundry bags that you can get from Walmart. Mm-hmm. Just throw them in there, throw them in the wash machine. They get it, throw them in the dryer, dries them up. It keeps them all in the bag, and you're good to go.
Well, that's good to know. Maybe I need to do that periodically then, which they're not in them for very long. We haven't had any kind of issues, and they don't have food in them or anything like that. So it's not like they get really disgusting, but that's good to know that I can do that from time to time to make sure that they're nice and clean.
Gotcha. Well, hey, it's been great having you on, and I look forward to kind of seeing other people kind of take your idea that you kind of stole from somebody else, which is perfectly okay. And
I wish I knew who it was. I would shout him out, but I don't know.
I have since then have seen and heard of Eagle Scout troops that have gone in and done these in schools and different things. So if you're an Eagle Scout candidate and you're looking for a really good project, look into this. And I'm sure there's plenty of other schools that would love to have this kind of installation in their facilities, especially hearing the positive success that you've had from it. It doesn't seem like there's really a downside to the project at all.
No, not that I can see. So far, like I said, it's been, I guess, now a full school year basically that we've used it, and it's, just positive so far.
Good deal. Well, Haley, thanks for coming on the Hammock Hangers Podcast. It's been a great talking to you. I wish you nothing but luck for the rest of this school year, and I'd love to hear from you again when you've expanded into having the entire school go out at one time for a book reading, right?
That'd be so cool, so fun.
Well, good deal. That's going to wrap it up for this week's episode of the Hammock Hangers Podcast. If you've liked what you've heard this week, I suggest giving us a like and subscribe on our social media outlets or wherever you get your podcast. And if you tend to like what you hear, a positive review either on Spotify or Apple Podcast or your podcast acquiring apparatus would also be a benefit to us as well. Also, hitting that like and subscribe and sharing your episode with other people. We would love to get Miss Ladner even more fame than she already has, and we would love to see more hammocks in the public schools. So until next time, everybody, happy hanging, y'all.
As we gently sway out of another hammock-filled episode, we want to thank you, our wonderful listeners, for hanging out with us on the Hammock Hangers Podcast. We hope that you have found relaxation, inspiration, and a renewed sense of connection to nature through our discussions. Remember to keep that hammock spirit alive in your daily life, whether it's by taking a few moments to unwind in your own backyard oasis or by planning your next hammock adventure in the great outdoors. Embracing the tranquility, embracing the simplicity, and never forget the joy that comes from simply hanging around. Before we part ways, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay up to date with all things hammock related. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Just search for the Hammock Hangers Podcast. Your support means the world to us, and we can't wait to hang with you again on our next episode. Until then, stay relaxed, stay adventurous, and keep on hanging those hammocks high. From all of us here at the Hammock Hangers Podcast, we wish you peaceful hangs and endless relaxation. Thank you for tuning in. Happy hanging, everyone.